Hi folks, today's video we're looking at ball joints. I did some of the prep work last night on this, which will be the first part of the video, where I was getting the split pins out of the ball joints and getting them loosened off so that we're ready to get things done. I had to go and get a ball joint splitter today. I have two, but they've obviously been loaned to people and they've never returned them, so if I've ever loaned you my ball joint splitter, I want them back. We'll get onto that just now. We'll get them split and we'll get the four of them replaced, because we're building up for an MOT on Monday, and we're getting kind of close. So we're replacing four ball joints. This one at the wheel end, our two in the centre steering relay, and our one on the wheel on the other side. This one and this one are both split. This one's not far away from splitting, and that one looks quite new, but I'm just going to replace all four of them at the same time. And we need to split the ball joint for the steering control from the steering box, so that we can get room to get the other two off there. It's a really complex and tight space to have what is four ball joints all in the same place. So we'll get that split in just. So this is the new ball joint splitter. We'll get this out of the packaging and we'll demonstrate how that works on the ball joints we're doing. days. So that one's come out without having to use the bolt tightener. So that's good. Really awkward to try and get that centre one off, so I'm quite glad we're having to avoid doing that so far. So we'll just move the camera and we'll get this ball joint off this end. So this one hasn't popped, so this one will be one that we need to just tighten up this bolt, put some pressure on. So that's that second one off. We're all loose there. We'll get this nut off up here, and we'll get that off. We want to mark which one's the wheel end and which one's the control arm end, just for our reference when we're putting it back on. And then we can get these two tractor rod ends replaced. So I've just marked that with a W and a little arrow pointing to where the wheel is. Get this nut off. That castle nut there. And our castle nut up the top here. That's both of them off. Little tap there. Get that out. Oh, and I just missed the camera. So we've got that off. We'll go and take this to the bench and we'll get these ball joints replaced. So this is our tractor on end off the driver's side. You notice I was said earlier that we'd mark it with a W so that we know that this is the wheel end. I'm going to try and give this a rub down and a bit of a repaint while we've got it off as well. I'm not going to go absolutely mad about it, but we'll get this ball joint off and the ball joint over here swapped. One's a right hand thread and one's a left hand thread, basically so that you should be able to turn the bar in the middle and it'll shorten or lengthen the track rods for doing tracking on the vehicle. We're just going to try and get these exactly the same as these ones are for length. So we'll measure them and check again. and we'll get the ball joints fitted out as much of an identical setup as we currently have. One's pointing up and one's pointing down, so that's an important thing to remember. And we shall find the measuring tape. So we've got one lock nut and one nut that's attached to the bar. That is our left hand thread ball joint there. What we'll do is we'll slide this along. Unfortunately my vise is broken as well, so that's not exactly going to be easy for me. There we go, bit of force. There we are, a lot of muck out of that. So there are two old ones. And these are our two new ones. Okay. They don't have these nuts on them. So when we get these ball joints off, what we're going to have to do is thread these nuts onto the correct ball joint before we screw them back in again. Right, so what we need to do is we need to measure the length of this complete unit. This spanner is not wanting to come off there now. So that complete unit is 715 millimeters. Just going to make a note of that. Right. But also what we're going to do is we're going to count the number of turns this takes to unscrew, and that'll tell us how many turns we need to screw the new one in. Okay, and if we do that on both ends, we should end up pretty much exactly where we are with our length. So 1, 2, 21, 22, 23, 20, 23 and a half. Okay. So then I need to take this nut off. Right, and that's that ball joint there. So I thread this nut onto the new ball joint all the way up to the far end. So that's back on 1 turn, and we'll just screw that in. We said it needed 23 and a half turns, okay? So it's going to end up 23 turns basically from here. So that's 2, 3, 2, 23. Okay, and that wants to point up the way because the other ball joint at the other end is pointing down the way. And then we are tightening this nut up to meet the other nut. Okay, we need our 2 32s. Right, and we're just doing that just enough to hold it just now. We shall check it and measure it before we go too far with things. So, flipping that over, back to the first end. This side is a lot tighter than the other side. Right, so 3 ball joints went really simply. This 4th one has been well and truly a nightmare. This is the right hand thread one on the driver's side, which is tucked up in the centre. The one that was on has taken about a day to get out, really. It must have rusted in some respect. We've needed to heat it, soak it in diesel overnight. We freezed it at one point. We tried to spread the grooves in it. So lots and lots of different things. We eventually got it out. We're trying to put the new one in. And it's just binding up a little on the threads. Or it was. We'll see how far it gets in. We need to go 25 turns in with the right hand thread ones. So we'll see where 25 turns in gets us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so that's only getting us about halfway in. So what I'm going to do is I've got a pick, and I'm going to try and clear out all of the threads on the inside of the bar, because I think that's where the issue is, and we'll see how we get with that. So this track rod end is the old one from the other bar, right hand, the standard thread one, and I'm going to use this to work the threads a bit rather than damaging our new one. I'm going to get some cutting paste to try and lubricate the threads up a bit. Right, so we managed to get 27 turns on our old ball joint. So we'll give it a go and see if we can get our 25 turns that we actually need to get with the new ball joint. This is our new one. So quite a bit of heat building up in this with the cutting. Right, so starting from there. 1, 2, 3. So the answer is no. Definitely making progress, but we'll have to come back to this and see if we can make some more.